All right, let's get right into it. We're going to break down the exact formula for buying real estate and building a real retirement portfolio, even if you're starting with, well, pretty much nothing in your bank account.
You've heard it a million times, right? That you need a giant down payment and a perfect credit score to even think about investing in property. Well, what if that's not the whole story? What if some of the biggest real estate players out there started with absolutely none of their own money? Welcome to the channel. In this explainer, we are going to peel back the layers and give you the real, actionable steps to build wealth. And hey, if you like what you see, do me a favor and hit that like button and be sure to subscribe.
So, by the time we're done here, you're going to have a super clear, step-by-step roadmap. We're going to walk through 3 very specific strategies that investors are using right now to get their hands on cash-flowing properties, basically turning the old way of doing things completely on its head.
Now, before we get into the nuts and bolts, we really need to understand the engine that makes all of this go. It's a simple, but man, is it a powerful concept.
OPM. It stands for other people's money. Now, what's so cool about this is the mental shift it requires. See, normally, you trade your time for money, and then you trade that money for an asset. With OPM, you cut out the middleman. You trade your knowledge and your hustle directly for an asset, and someone else puts up the cash.
And this is a really crucial point. You're not going around with a hat in your hand asking for favors. You're actually solving a huge problem. Think about it. People with a lot of capital are just watching their money get eaten alive by inflation. You are bringing them an opportunity, a solid deal that actually makes them a return. You find the deal, they fund it. It's a win-win.
Okay, let's move on to our first strategy. This is kind of like the gateway into real estate investing because it's the fastest way to make some cash with almost zero risk. It's called wholesaling.
And the process is surprisingly simple. First, you hunt down a distressed property. Look for places with overgrown grass, boarded up windows, that kind of thing. Second, you get that property under contract with the seller, and you make absolutely sure it has something called an assignment clause. Third, you find a cash buyer, usually a house flipper, who wants a project. And finally, you just assign or sell that contract to them for a fee.
And here's how the math works out. It's beautiful. Let's say you get the house under contract for $100,000. Then you find an investor who's more than happy to pay $110,000 for it. That $10,000 gap in the middle? Yep, that's your assignment fee. That's your profit just for finding and locking down the deal.
Let me be crystal clear about this. At no point did you actually own this house. You never had to get a mortgage, you never put up a big pile of cash, you simply controlled the piece of paper, the contract, and you brokered the deal. You do that a couple of times, and boom, you've got the seed money for what comes next.
Okay, so now you've got a little capital from wholesaling, you can start to actually acquire assets. This brings us to strategy number 2, called Subject to. This is how you can own rental properties without ever having to step foot in a bank to apply for a loan.
So, who's the perfect person for this kind of deal? You're looking for motivated sellers. Picture someone who's got a fantastic, low-interest mortgage, but they have to move, maybe for a new job or because of a divorce. The problem is they don't have enough equity to sell the traditional way and pay all the realtor fees. They're basically stuck. And you're their solution.
Now, this is where it gets really interesting. Look at how this deal is structured. It's this clean split. The mortgage, the loan, it actually stays in the original seller's name, but the property deed, the thing that says who the legal owner is, gets transferred into your name. So they get to walk away from the problem, and you get to take over their awesome low monthly payment.
And check out the end result. You put a tenant in the house who pays you, say, $2,000 a month in rent. But that original mortgage payment you took over is only $1,200. That difference, $800, that is pure passive cash flow in your pocket every single month. You now own a cash-flowing asset, and it costs you nothing out of pocket to get it.
Okay, so you've made some seed money, you've got your first rental. Now, how do you scale? How do you build a real portfolio? Well, that brings us to what some people call the holy grail of creative financing, the BRRRR method, but with a really powerful twist.
So BRRRR, it's just an acronym. It stands for Buy, Rehab, Rent, Refinance, and Repeat. It's a system for taking a property, forcing it to be worth more, and then pulling your cash back out so you can do it all over again. But here's the zero-down magic. Normally, you'd have to come up with a 20% down payment for the bank. But with this method, you use a private money lender. Could be a doctor, a lawyer, anyone with cash sitting on the sidelines. And they fund 100% of everything, the purchase price and all the repair costs.
So let's just walk through the numbers here. Step 1.
Your private lender hands you $140,000 to buy and fix up the house. After you're done with the rehab, a new appraiser comes in and says, hey, this place is now worth $200,000. Step 3, you waltz into a regular bank and they're happy to give you a loan for 75% of that new value, which is $150,000. You then take that money and immediately pay back your private lender their $140,000.
And the result? Just look at this. You now own a cash-flowing rental property, and you walk away from the closing table with $10,000 tax-free in your pocket. I mean, think about that. You were literally paid to take ownership of an asset, and now you take that $10,000 and you do it again.
So, let's be real for a second. Is any of this stuff easy? Absolutely not. It takes hustle, it takes education, you've got to learn how to find the right deals. But is it simple? Yeah, it is. The logic, the math, it's all very straightforward once you actually understand the framework.
The big thing to take away from all this is that retiring on real estate with no money down isn't really about having a ton of cash to start with. It's about being resourceful. And if this breakdown has kind of opened your eyes to what's possible, help us spread the word by hitting that like button. And for sure, subscribe for more explainers where we break down these complex strategies into simple, actionable steps.
So I'll just leave you with this one final thought to chew on. It's really the core idea behind everything we just talked about. If you can find a deal that is truly, truly good, does the money have any choice but to find you?